Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Samir Karode. I head the PNC suite of products at Majesco. I have here with me Mike Grabowski, who is a solution architect, and we are going to run this session together. So just few minutes back, we heard the panelists talk about how they modernize their business, how they achieve their speed of operation. So I'm not going to go into detail of explaining it, but as Dennis mentioned, we are going to actually demonstrate you how you can achieve speed of operation using the Majesco Cloud Insurer platform. So this is how a typical modernized business use case will look like. You have a carrier who want to launch a product quickly to seize an opportunity that they see in the market. They have identified their state there where they are going to launch. They know their target market. They know they are going to write to which channels. And once the initial launch is successful, they want to rapidly expand into other states. But like I said, we want to actually show how this is done. So we are going to need some specifics for Mike to set it up. So this is how the business case will look like. Let's say the insurance company is Trident Insurance, and they want to launch a product, commercial auto, a bureau-based product. They want to start with New Jersey as their first launch. They are going to sell the product through independent agents, and they are going to target food and supply delivery kind of businesses who needs all these commercial vehicles and anything with revenue under $50 million. Now, once this business initiative is successful, they want to launch this in 10 other states rapidly. One other requirement that they have is they don't want to invest into any upfront infrastructure or IT. So they want to find a SaaS platform which can run their business and grow as their business grows and scale as their business grows. So they run through an evaluation and also keep up with all the regulatory and security compliances that keep coming up all the time. So they run through a vendor evaluation, and guess who they find? So Majesco, obviously. So Trident Insurance has now partnered with Majesco, and they are going to leverage the Majesco Cloud Insurer platform to write their business. So Mike, let's just show them how we can actually set them up as a tenant all the way into writing their first policy in the next 30 minutes.
Great, thanks Samir. So what we're going to do is use our tool set called Dev Studio to do all of our configurations that you'll see today. And then once we're done with the configurations, we'll actually go through our system, show you some of the live functionality, as if we took all this, deployed it into our system, and showed you what it actually looks like. So within our Dev Studio, what we're going to do is set up Trident Insurance. So how we do that is go into our companies tile, and this goes into our company's management. From here, I can go ahead and just click the new button, select the company, and go through and actually associate this company to an actual product version. So that's how we manage our changes in the application. So I'll set up a pre-configured product version that we have and a ticket where I can make those changes and associate them in the system. So once I've done that, it's going to ask me what I want to name this, and we're going to call it Trident Company and provide a company code to this. Once we've defined that company, all we have to do is provide the address. So I'll put in some city, state, and zip code. Just do a search for a... Oh.
Take your time.
City. We're just going to pick Jersey City in New Jersey. And now because we've added this company, now we can do the actual adoption. So what we're going to set is add a New Jersey company. We're going to do it for commercial auto. And one of the things that we're going to do is make it effective as of the new year in 2020.
So I have just one thing to highlight. Can you switch back to the PowerPoint? I just wanted to highlight when he selected commercial auto, the size and scale of the base product that comes with it. So this is, when we say commercial auto, out of the box, you get more than 4,000 fields that you can capture right out of the box. It comes with around 16,000 rules and about 1,000 forms. And this keeps getting revised every single month. So there are about 9,000 circulars that published every year across lines of business through all the 52 jurisdictions. and Majesco keeps that content up to date every single month and releases to their customers. They are always up to date. So I just wanted to highlight, when he selects that customer commercial auto, this is what all you get right out of the box, and that's the power of the platform, Majesco Cloud Insurer. So back to the live demo.
And one of the reasons that we're doing a future effective date is that every company goes through their filings with each individual state. What we want to do is pre-stage all of our configurations ahead of time so that when the system's updated and we get objections back from each independent Bureau of Insurance, we can just make those changes accordingly if there are changes to LCMs or different business rules. So we can manage that ahead of time, but actually deploy it into our live system. So now that I have my company, I can go back out of the company management and actually go into the line of business and manage those changes. One of the first things that we're going to do is update our bureau adoptions. So we're going to go into our rate levels specifically, so that we're going to look through and see exactly what rate levels are available in the system. As Samir mentioned, all of those rate levels are available out of the box. So all I have to do is select the appropriate rate levels that I want to adopt, do a search for a specific company, so the Trident company we just entered in. I'll put in New Jersey as my state, since that's the one we're rolling out in. And we're just going to select the not adopted checkbox. So now you can see that, as Samir had mentioned, all of those adoptions for the ILFs are available here for us. So in order for us to adopt those specific rates, all we have to do is click on Modify Adoption, then associate that to a specific ticket and product version. So once we've done that, it's as simple as clicking a checkbox. In this instance, our rate adoptions always adopt based on the rate level that we're selecting. So if I select January 1st, 2019, all previous adoptions will automatically be rolled up into that specific adoption. So I can just select Adopt, and the system will adopt that specific change. Allows me to even modify the rate level effective date in case the state requires a different rate level change, and then I can go ahead and adopt that specific rate change. So very quickly, we're able to do that rate adoption, and the system will now apply that for that specific company.
So Mike, just curious to know, why would you select a future? I observed that you're picking up a future effective date. Is there any specific significance why you're doing it?
Yeah, we like to do that ahead of time so that we can make those changes, make it available in the system right away without having to worry about time differences. So in the case of if we're doing it backdated, we're not going to be able to take advantage of those new rates that might become available. So this way we can take that future adopt it, and the system will automatically adopt all the rates accordingly to that effective date.
Thank you.
Now we can do the same thing for all the other coverages, the UM, OCP coverage plan, all the zip codes, the rates, even forms in a similar manner of adopting those specific rate tables. And you'll see in a similar fashion, if I just go and select the Trident company that we created and put in the New Jersey state, we can very easily go through and do that repeated process over and over. In the interest of time, I'm not going to go through that step, but it's a very similar process flow. So you can see here all the form adoptions. So we can go ahead and adopt the declaration pages accordingly and all the individual, for example, forms for this product. Now the next piece of this that we want to make is every company has different ILFs or LCMs that they also adopt to deviate from the states as well. So we've incorporated that as a table update within our system. So if I go into and search for a specific table.
So Mike, this is how they have, they are competitive in the market by putting adjusting the rate that comes out of the box?
Exactly. So this allows me to go in and see exactly what has been adopted or changed for all of our specific products. So for commercial auto, for example, I can adopt this based on different coverage codes, different vehicle types. So if you're looking to create LCMs based on RVs, for example, or different types of vehicles, I can very easily make that adjustment. Even making it within a spreadsheet. So if I want to manage those changes within a spreadsheet, so I want to do a liability physical damage deviation, I'll have an LCM of 1.1 and 1.5. I can very easily do that in a spreadsheet and just go ahead and import it into the system. So if I go ahead and click Modify Table, associate this again to a product version, because I'm going to roll together all of my changes in a single product version. I'm effectively checking out this table so I can make edits to it, and then I can go ahead and make an import of that spreadsheet we were just looking at. So if I go ahead and go into my document here and upload it, the system will take that document, upload it, and now I can go ahead and import that. Oh, looks like I got an import error here. Oh, now it looks like an imported. So it shows me the status. It's showing me that it's done with the import. It inserted those, so I can see those changes in the table. I can scroll through, adjust them accordingly. If I don't want to use a spreadsheet, I can very easily click the Add button and insert those one by one if need be.
And he did those rate adjustments at the coverage level. But if you want to have different rates for different vehicle types, snowmobile versus trucks, you can do that simply in the Excel spreadsheet, and you can differentiate your pricing based on multiple factors and not just the coverage type.
Now the next step to this is that we want to limit the coverages that are available for the specific Trident company. Knowing that we're working with food delivery services, they don't have to have all the coverages that are in the system. So we'll go into our additional coverages screen, and effectively we'll restrict the coverages that are available for the specific company within the state. So just by doing a search for my additional coverages screen, the system will go through all the out-of-the-box different screens that we have available. There's upwards, at this point, over hundreds of screens available. I can do a search and click on the additional coverages screen. Now from here, I have all of my coverages that are available out of the box. So we have our drive other cars, drive away contractors, fellow employee coverage. All of these are our out-of-the-box coverages. So if I want to make changes to this, I can just go ahead and modify the screen, select the product version that I'm making that change to, including the ticket, and now effectively I've checked out this screen, so I can make edits to it. So if I want to remove, for example, garage keepers from my list of additional coverages, I can do that very easily just by going into my properties, going into my hidden permission or property, and we're going to do this actually as a business rule. So you can see that by default, this coverage is not going to be hidden. But what we want to do, since we're using multiple companies, multiple states in this specific product, we're going to create a business rule very quickly. We're going to say add a business rule as part of our business rules editor. And within that business rule, we're going to say if the company, and let's make it effective 01/01/2020, we're going to say for the company Trident in the state of New Jersey. We could do that based on different other criteria. We use a when-then construct for our business rules. So we could do it by program if we decide to change to create this food delivery service as a program within our product or a market segment, or even base it on by transaction. But effectively, what we want to do is, based on these conditions at the top, based on the Trident and New Jersey, we're going to tell the system that we're going to set the hidden property to yes. So it's overriding our default functionality of making that field visible, and then effectively only based on these two conditions will the field be hidden. So very quickly I can save that and commit that to the system. So you can see how I'm actually managing my business rules very quickly in here. Now that effectively makes all of our changes in the platform from a setup for the company. We set up the bureau adoptions, we imported the LCMs for the specific product, as well as updating the screens. So from here, we're going to move into our policy system and actually show you how those changes have been applied.
So with this, basically, we completed the entire setup of Trident, their rate rule forms, and they're ready to write their first policy right into Majesco Cloud Insurer. So we switch to the application.
So here is our new Cloud Insurer platform. So I just switched over to a tab. And this is our new dashboard that we have released, which includes all the functionality that you've come to love from Majesco. We've modernized the look and feel very significantly on here. So you can see I have, for example, messages tile, so I can manage messages to different roles in the application. I can see my recent tile, so I can navigate across different quotes, policies, claims very quickly. Even starting a new company or looking at different reports that we have out of the box, such as quotes pending issuance, or my quotes that are working in progress, such as ones that are being reviewed by underwriters for referral logic, for example. But if I want to go into a specific quote, for example, I can here navigate into a quote for Easy Caterers, LLC. So on this dashboard, I can see my quoted premium, my taxes, surcharges, and fees, my commission amounts. And then if I want to go into more detail on the specific quote, I can just click on any of these actions, such as, more importantly, my redo action. And when I navigate into the redo...
Just a couple of points. So when we were on the dashboard, as you could see, you had a number of tiles configured. And not just policy admin, but it also showed billing and claims also come pre-integrated with the platform. So policy, billing, claim, end-to-end functionality is pre-integrated right there. Again, when we went to the dashboard, it's not just the rate rule form, but it also comes with binder, issuance, renewal, endorsement, audits, all the functionality that serves the entire policy life cycle comes built right out of the box. When you go to billing, it has everything right from setting up a payment plan to sending invoices, receiving payments, all the way to collections, as well as when you go to claims, right from FNOL up to claim settlement and payment disbursement. So everything is pre-built right out of the box when you install a tenant into Majesco Cloud Insurer. So I just wanted to make sure that it's not just policy rate rule form, but it's the entire servicing of the policy lifecycle that comes alive when you start your tenant.
Now, from a rating perspective, going through some of these screens, you'll see all of the functionalities built into our platform. So on this screen, I can look at the company that we set up, my Trident Insurance. So we deployed those changes that we applied and made it available in our tenant. So here you can see it's available as a Trident company. I have my effective date defined as January 1st, 2020, so it's available. But not only that, we also have the customer set up in New Jersey. So I can scroll down and see that it is in a New Jersey address. So it's actually allowed me to quote on that product for that company in that specific state now that I deployed those changes. We also made the change where we added the additional coverage. So if I navigate into my additional coverages...
You want to show them the address verification?
Yeah. So in our additional coverages, our garage keepers is no longer available because that rule has now triggered for the specific quote in our runtime environment. Now, some of the functionality that Samir had mentioned is we do have integrations with our eco-exchange partners, one of those being Smarty Streets. So in this specific address that's provided here, I can actually verify that address very quickly just by clicking this confirm address for verification. And this will actually make a web service call into Smarty Streets and pull back the address confirmation. From a UI perspective, we have that this is an exact match. And if this was a partial match or an approximate match, I'd actually be provided with suggested addresses that would actually normalize that address. Behind the streets, we actually store quite a lot of dimensions for the specific address as well. So your longitude, latitude information, so that you can, for example, create a report or a map of where all of your exposure is. If a hurricane is coming or hail event, as Jason had mentioned, is coming to your specific area, we can actually create a report very quickly based on that longitude, latitude information without having to take that information, offload it into a spreadsheet, and do it offline. The system is actually handling that for you.
Just to set the context on the Eco-Exchange. So Eco-Exchange is a Majesco marketplace for apps, industry standard vendors. So we have pre-integrated all these vendors right into our marketplace. The system comes pre-integrated with those, and customers can have more than one choice. Now, he mentioned Smarty in this case, but in the state of New York, some other vendor may give better location from the address perspective. So you could hook up to a number of vendors, starting with address verifications to ISO or LexisNexis prefill, to e-signature documents, to payment vendors. So all of these are pre-integrated, and you can have a choice of your vendor. All you have to do is select vendor you want to connect, and it will pre-integrate with that without having to write a single line of code or doing. All you have to do is subscribe, and it's available to you right out of the box.
Now, another functionality that we came out with is the idea of a customer view. So many customers will create a customer in their system, but they can't get that holistic view of their customer very easily. So if I navigate into my customer view at the top left of the screen, I can very easily switch over, not just from my quote, but go into that holistic panoramic view of the customer. So now, in a holistic view, I get not only the address details, the contact details, but that dashboard that brings together our policy billing claim system, as Samir had mentioned earlier, where we're fully integrated across our entire suite. So very quickly on my dashboard, I can see that I have 2 enforced policies. the enforced premium, the past due, number of claims. Even if they've been impacted by a cat, we'll be able to see that information, as well as all the notes that have been aggregated across the entire suite. So you get that very quick view up front for this customer. Now we've taken that even a step further by creating a customer activity view. So from here, I can see across this timeline what has happened to this customer very quickly. So I can see a number of quotes have been created. I can see payments that are pending for them or invoices that are due. I can even restrict that filter based on different criteria. If I'm looking to focus on underwriting approvals, for example, cancellations, new policies, or from a claims perspective, the number of closed claims they have, or from a billing perspective, any payments that have been received. So I can very easily navigate across that entire view of that customer. And then below, we can see policy details as well. So I can very quickly see details on all of those policies and even act on those policies using our actions. So if I want to navigate into my commercial package, for example, policy, I can click on my view policy view, and this will very quickly navigate me into that policy without having me to search or do any searching within the platform. And that view that Samir had mentioned where I'm looking at my next actions. So here very quickly, I can process a cancellation, I can process an endorsement, and any number of out-of-the-box transaction capabilities that we have within the platform. I never had to configure any of these functions within the system. They're just available for you to use out of the box. And to navigate across our billing and claim systems, they're just as easy as clicking a checkbox or a tab at the bottom. So very quickly, I can see some of the details on this policy, such as the payment plan, the payment method, even making a payment directly from the screen, integrating with a payment gateway. This is a very simple way without having to navigate across different systems. We have that seamless view within all the different systems within our platform.
So what you showed is pretty comprehensive, but in today's world, no business is successful without machine learning, AI, chatbot capabilities. So do you have anything cool that you can show us?
Yeah, sure. So one of the cool functionalities that we came up with was those little chat box at the bottom that ask Mia. And when I click on that checkbox or the button, it'll actually bring up a chatbot for me. So from here, I can actually interact with this chatbot very easily, such as, for example, if I want to report a glass claim, I can type in and actually suggest information for me. So if I put in report a glass claim, it'll actually walk me through the steps, asking me what's the policy number. In a very nice language here. So I can type in my policy number, and it'll walk me through the steps. It's asking me when was the actual damage for the specific policy. So I can type in a specific date, such as I'll go back to yesterday, the 22nd, 2019, and it'll continue through the flow. Now it's gone into our policy system. It's actually pulled in the vehicles on that policy. It's given me an option to select one of the vehicles. In this instance, it's a Hummer. So I can actually just check on and click the little checkbox, and it'll pull in that information, ask me additional details. For example, the size of the damage, if it's the size of smaller than the size of $1, if I click yes, it'll go through the rest of the flow. In this instance, it's actually giving me the option to waive the deductible and process a payment without a restriction up to $500. So if I type in, for example, $400, the system will actually go through the process of taking that payment, applying it, creating a claim, actually closing it, and automatically mailing it out to the customer.
Now, one interesting thing is typically you associate chatbots with a direct-to-consumer model where a customer is logging to your portal and accessing a chatbot. But this is back office. And we came across an interesting case at one of our customers. So they, in specific season, they hire a lot of interns, and you don't want to train them too much because they are going to be there for a month and leave right away. So you don't want to go through that investment of training them. So instead of training them on the system, they use pretty much, you can assign them basic functions that a bot can do and just train them on how to use that. So a simple straight through claim process or a simple write-off transaction or a payment disbursement. Those are the functions that you can just quickly train them, come in, go, and then you are not investing too much into these kind of things. So that is one very interesting use case that we saw at one of our customers, and they are planning to use the chatbot for their internal training purposes.
To even go further on the training, we do have a capability for product tours even in the system, going on the basis that customers don't want to manage documentation for their users, for example. We've actually created that within the platform. So if I'm on any specific screen in the platform, I can just click this little icon at the top to go through a page tour. And it'll actually highlight different parts of the screen. So without having to reference documentation that may be outdated, for example, I can just click on that tour and go through different steps. So in this instance, I can look at different parts of the screen. It'll actually highlight components and walk me through what that specific component is focusing on. So no longer are you worrying about keeping the documentation up to date, because as soon as you create that documentation and publish it, effectively it will be out of date. So that gives you some of that capability as well.
And one more thing is, since we said Trident is into small commercial business, so it's not a stretch that soon they will want to go direct to consumer model. So all the functionality that you see is exposed through open APIs, about 850 of those. So every single thing that you saw can be simulated in the customer portal by simply leveraging the out-of-the-box APIs, and entire functionality that you saw is available for them to process right from their digital journey, whatever they are in.
Now, another functionality that we came up with is the concept of a unified search. So often is the time that you get a call from a customer with a policy number with a name. You don't want to navigate between different systems. We've actually streamlined that functionality just by allowing us to do searches at the top of the screen here. So if I did have a customer call with a policy number, I can search for that policy number, and the system will give me back details across our entire platform. So I can look at the policies, the quote details. So here you can see very quickly, I can see the policy and the initial quote. I can look at claims details. So the claim we just created, for example, I can actually quickly navigate into that claim just by clicking on any of these links here at the front. And if I had created any details such as a customer account, insured details, I can navigate very quickly across all different dimensions of this specific platform.
Look at the speed of operation. We are like 15 minutes early. So, so we were going through this, that we might get done early because in your head you're thinking different. See, this is how you set up one state, one product, but setting up 5 products or 10 different states. Let's say Trident is successful in New Jersey. Now they want to expand into 10 other states. You follow the exact same process and you're ready to write the business right away. So expanding after the initial launch is as quick as the first launch itself. So again, going back to speed of operation, Mike just showed us how quickly he can, do this for us. So I don't know what to do with the time that we have left. So we'll open up for question and answers. I was trying to avoid that, but here we are.
Any quick questions for Mike and Samir from the audience?
Yes, sir. It is being released as a part of V11 that's coming October 25th. So our customers will start using. So it's being delivered as a part of incremental updates, but officially V11 is going to come exactly a month after. And it's going through intense training. Mia is going through a lot of training right now. So we have trained her on few basic straight through functions, but as we grow, we'll train more. And we also have an idea that we are toying around with, that as customers use this bot, they might train the bot in their own way. Is there a way to actually collaborate and get that training back into base so one customer's learning can go to second? So that's something that we are thinking. We'll hopefully figure out a way so everybody benefits at the end of it.
And something he just said, to tie back to something Manish said, it's coming out with V11, but in the October month release. Those kinds of capabilities are being developed on a pretty regular basis, and we have monthly releases. So you can take advantage of those and not have to wait a year or two to be able to take advantage of that. That's the power of those continuous updates that Manish talked about earlier.
Absolutely. Those come monthly and just you upgrade right out of the box. And if you're on cloud, you don't have to even worry about it. It's always there. You're always running the most current version of the application.
Any other questions? Yes, back here. Somebody have their rotating, the runner? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I'd just like to know if you've got any existing API documentation to access your system where you're backlinking your APIs.
So I didn't catch that API documentation.
Yes.
So we have an API doc portal where our customers or SI's development can go online, see every single spec that I said 800, 850. So you would go there and see every single spec there, and you don't need Majesco's helps to integrate with our application. You just see the spec and integrate. If you are a cloud customer, then you can even actually test these APIs for an instance that will set for you as well. So we have an API gateway where our cloud customers can log in and actually test these APIs as well.
And Mike's showing you that right now.
That's the API doc portal.
Okay?
So everything is online, all documentation, even the core documentation is hosted in a website, and customers can go in and see what release, what documentation got updated. So every single documentation is online and fully accessible by our customers, even to the extent of roadmaps. So a constant feedback is we want transparency of what you're doing. So around 18 months back, we put our entire product roadmap online. So our customers can log in any point in the month and see exactly what we are working on. We have also launched Idea Portal where they can push ideas. And as we pick up those, they see the progress from an idea to an actual release. They get continuous updates on how we are working on their ideas. And then we meet with them like a couple of times a year and we give them that progress. So it's all digital. So whatever we are telling our customers, we are also following the same thing.
Any other questions? All right. Well, I think at the beginning of this, Samir talked about this being a greenfield operation, standing up a new greenfield product for this insurance company. So even if you've modernized, replaced your previous legacy, you might be in on-prem, we're seeing a lot of customers stand up a policy system to bring out new products in a really agile way to create that speed of operation. So if you have any questions, make sure you stop at our booth tomorrow at 10:21, I believe is our booth. We're going to take a little bit more of a break. We have refreshments over here to the right, and we've got some snacks over here to the left, and we will start promptly back at 3 o'clock with our next panel. Including a couple of people, one from Munich Re and one from Avenue. And then we will go into another proof of concept around speed of innovation, around an on-demand product that Manish talked about. We'll finish up with a panel on what this all means from a regulatory standpoint. So please enjoy refreshments, and we'll be back here in about 26 minutes.
Yeah, enjoy your 11 extra minutes. Thank you.